So today we're talking about how to build a support staff. So again, for your team leader people, I want you to go back to when you were an agent and how you built your team. It wasn't really your team, but it was a support staff you used. So we'll start out with Cam since he was first on the list here today. So Cam, you're an individual agent. How do you build your support staff around what you do?
Yeah, so great question. And I'm actually going to be kind of honestly, I want to learn from everyone else today because this is a struggle for me is finding full-time staff that over the long term continue to provide the quality of work that I get when they, want to do their interview process and show you how great they are. I've done a lot of firing, so I've done a lot of hiring people, local as well as international. They all seem to run about 4 to 9 months, and then the course takes its place, and usually they've had to be let go. As I said, I think it was last week or the week before, I've really focused on the hybrid team model. And the amazing part about that is that each individual team that is running their own team has their own support staff. So that alleviates so much of the requirements, or I guess, the restrictions that you have when you're having to be the leader of everybody. So my answer to that is hire quickly, or, hire slowly, fire quickly. Make sure that I'm assuming that the part that I'm missing out on is I'm not paying these people enough. So I'm excited to kind of hear, what everyone else says today. But if you're going to hire a staff, make sure that you're paying them something that, you'd be willing to pay the people that you value in your life. Make sure they're important to you because they are going to be leading your business. They're going to be running your business. So I don't have much to offer, but that's what I have. And I'm excited to hear from everybody else today.
That's probably the shortest amount of time I've ever heard Cam speak in the history of Cam, right? I was expecting like a half an hour of Cam going on and on and on, and all right, let's go over to Matt. Go ahead, Matt. What did you do when you were by yourself and growing your business?
Well, I'm still kind of by myself. I kind of still run a solo operation, but when I first got into the business, I had a full like salaried staff in my office, right? So I had a listing coordinator. I had all these people that I had to pay, um, you know, salary and unemployment and all that kind of stuff, Social Security, et cetera, um, payroll tax and all that. And what I've transitioned to over the years is using virtual assistants and basically making everybody just kind of subcontractors. So I think the most important thing is to, um, offload the stuff that you don't want to do, um, or that you're not good at. So, we have revenue generating tasks, things like going on listing appointments and, um, negotiating offers, writing offers, things like that. For a while, I even had a guy that I paid per transaction to negotiate offers because, offers come in at all times, 7 days a week. And if you don't want to be out at a dinner party standing outside on your cell phone discussing, counter offers, you got to have somebody doing that. So I had a guy, he actually lived in Arizona and he was a retired agent and he used to negotiate all of our offers. Anyway, but I don't do that anymore. But what I do is I do offload the things that I don't really want to do or that I'm not good at. So the first thing that everybody on this call should be using, if you want to do any sort of volume, is everybody should have a transaction coordinator. That kind of goes without saying, right? But I still know agents that do their files themselves, and you can offload that for 300 or 400 bucks a file. Um, Again, I used to have somebody in my office that was a full-time employee that was a transaction coordinator, but I found that it's just makes more sense, even though you may pay more, per file. Uh, oh, you don't have to pay payroll tax and all that kind of stuff. So everybody should have a TC. That's number one. The second thing is everybody should offload their marketing. And so again, I always say your marketing has to be on autopilot because you get busy and you don't have time to be proofing postcards and thinking up mailers and whatever social media posts, etc. So I think that's also something that everybody should do. Find a good marketing that can do your marketing for you and put that on autopilot. Um, and then I guess the other thing would be having an ISA, right? So You know, I was talking with an agent the other day, and I said, you know, when I first got in the business, I would get up every single morning from 7:30 till like 11, and I would call expired listings and for sale by owners and cancels and so forth. You can find somebody that's good, a virtual assistant, etc., who can do that for you. And it's very inexpensive, and they'll do it every day. And you do have to train them. For all these positions, you got to make sure that they're well trained. But there's a lot of things that you can offload. I think those are the biggest ones: an ISA, a TC, and a marketing person. And you just got to make sure that you have the budget to do it. And frankly, you can combine some of those roles. You could have an ISA that's also a TC. They do exist. And you can pay them $5, $6, $7 an hour. You just have to make sure that they're good at what they do. I've also experimented. We were talking about this the other day, that a lot of people do not pick up their phones if they see a number that they don't recognize. So texting is a great way to reach out to people. You can have a virtual assistant sit there, 4 or 5 hours a day sending text messages to expired listings and cancels and for sale by owners, which works really well. So to me, those would be the three biggest ones: marketing, an ISA, and having a TC. And then I'm sure other people have, my God, you could have somebody going through your email. We probably all waste a lot of time going through all of our emails every day. So it's all about taking the non-revenue generating activities that we all do every single day and offloading those so that you can spend all your time, doing revenue generating activities. So that's what I would say.
And just so you know, I don't know if you guys saw, EXP is partnered with Fixer, FYXER, which, from what I understand, I have not used it yet, will actually manage your email for you.
Wow.
I think it's exp.fixer.com. Don't quote me on that as far as the URL, but it's a phenomenal program. I saw a couple of people using it when I was in Dallas last week. And it literally, I have 700 emails a day. You talk about something that's a time suck in my life every day. I have to answer 100 of them, but it will actually answer emails for you in your writing style, which mine is like, I read a paragraph in less than 3 seconds, like just like I speak.
Is it using AI to do that?
Yep.
Probably.
Everything.
Yeah.
So one thing, just real quick on that. So most people just call it EXP. So the AI stuff, I'm going to have them come on and talk one of our Thursdays. I'm trying to arrange it right now to come on and do the AI conversation. We are so heavily loaded in AI right now. And I'm just going to tell you one thing. I know it's totally off subject, but it's really kind of cool. So, I have 2,100 people in my organization, right? So for me to manage my organization, I have to export my list and do all this stuff to manipulate it and all this stuff. This isn't out for everybody yet, just the people who are in Dallas. It was there with the leadership groups. So I went in during there, and I had to find somebody the other day for the NSA program. I needed an agent that had 3 or more transactions in Brevard County that had 2 or less people in the organization. I literally opened up my chat inside my organization now, put that in there, and within 6 seconds, I had my 4 people to choose from. Like within 2 seconds. Before I used to have to sort and do all this. It's unbelievable.
Well, I'm going to add one more thing. Which is a shout out to Diane Mills. We have a client right now that we're getting ready to list their property, really expensive home, but they want to get a comfort level that there's going to be something out there that they're going to want to buy once we sell their home. And so they keep wanting to go out and look at 8, 9 homes a day. And Diane had the brilliant idea to take all those 10 properties that they want to see, put them into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to set up a showing schedule, and it does it in, like, of course, 5 seconds, and it gives you a perfect showing schedule, which I thought was just brilliant. So
unbelievable, right? Yeah. Like I said, I think, in fact, maybe next week I'm gonna, even if not, I think we'll can the what we have planned for next week and do an AI class, because it's the one thing I'm going to tell you. If you're not using AI right now for your business, you will fall behind in this business, because the people who use it. I did a website literally an hour ago. I did a website in 5 minutes, like a full functioning website in 5 minutes. Bridget?
Wow. So, Mitch, really quickly, I think we're really not off topic speaking about AI. We're talking about scaling our business, and that has to be incorporated. So I think it's spot on. And I,
Sure.
for one, would love to know all the tools we have. I get about 500 emails a day. I'm happy to hear that you beat me on that, 700. But it's horrific keeping up with it, and so much of it is spam. So I'm gonna try the Fixer right away and just watch it and see what it does for me, and then hopefully it texts me when there's an important one.
Listen, I haven't gone into it yet. I just they were talking, the one thing cool about what's going on right now with our company is Leo is like so into this stuff, and he's, it's really nice after all these years. Nothing against Glenn or Jason, who's one of my best friends. Leo's a true business person, understands the business, and he's really competitive and really wants everybody to win. And the meeting in Dallas last week was pretty awesome. Let's go over to Karina.
Good morning or afternoon, wherever you're at. So I came into real estate with a sales background, a business sales background. So when I started selling real estate in 1999, I already owned 2 software companies since 1995, right? So I already was of a mindset. So when I was selling in Pennsylvania, I came in knowing that I was the CEO of my company, even though I worked for a broker. And so fast forward, I come to Florida, I get out of the software world in 2012. And what's the first thing I do? I know that I'm going to sell real estate over here, and I create my business as a CEO, right? And so I'm going to manage my company the same way I was managing selling multi-million-dollar deals to the Fortune 250. How is that? I would meet with partners. Every week I would be meeting with a different partner. So I was completely on board with everything Matt said. So it was perfect. And so, but to take that to the next level, when I would sell software, people wanted to hook into our software with other companies, right? Because I'd be sitting with the C-level people and they wanted to be involved in those meetings. Well, I didn't want a one-way street. I wanted a two-way street. So my conversations with them goes the same way I have conversations, whether it's a plumbing company, electrician, a cleaning service, whatever, right? Because we dole out, we give people a lot of business. And they are in other people's houses and they're hearing if they want to buy or sell, or they have friends coming into town, because people talk, right? So I leverage the fact that we build relationships in everything that we do. So I create relationships with all of my outside people that are inside people's homes, right? Whether it's the tree guy, the landscapers, whoever. And I'm sending them a lot of business, and I'm happy to. I'm really happy that I get to feed a lot of families by giving them business into my listings and my buyers, right? Like that makes me very happy. However, I too need to feed my family. Now I'm a 1 woman and 2 cat family. Everybody's grown and married, but still my household or my business still needs that income coming in from other sources. I can only talk to so many people a day. So if you can get yourself meeting with 1 or 2 different suppliers that you're sending people to. In fact, right before here, I just had coffee with my America's Preferred Home Warranty Company local guy, and he gave me riders and, because in fact, we had a problem with a condo just recently, and my solution for it, the people are in the UK that own it. I said, give the buyers a home warranty. Which one do you think we should go to? America's Preferred Home Warranty Company, right? So I picked the people that are going to work with me, and they're the ones that are going to get the most business. Now, sometimes they're not available, so I have to go down to the B list. So you want to have a list of people. The other thing is I did everything myself in Florida in the beginning, because we were selling houses for $40,000 in 2013, if we were lucky. That we were really hit hard between the housing market crisis and NASA pulled out in December or January of 2010. So it was like a very difficult market. But I will tell you what, I sold 7 houses that first quarter. Why? Because I partnered with people fast and furious. And they were saying, hey, go talk to this person. My neighbors just said that they're going to be selling their house, and that came from a landscaper, and someone else had someone else. So you always want to talk to, it's not just the lenders and the title people, right? You have to think bigger. People know people and they will lead you to people. So that's a big part of it. But then 1 August, I had 27 active listings, and I've never used showing time. I want to open up that line of communication with the agents. So yes, it's a little bit more work, but I want to talk to them. I don't want to be in a situation where they won't show my property because they can't get me on the phone because maybe I'm showing a property, right? I will respond to them, and then I can sell them on my houses. So I still do that to this day. But if I have to go away, my full-time assistant will then take over that piece. And I give her the little things that I have written up for them to look like it's a custom text each time. But that August, that was a rough August. I was working till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I knew that September I was getting myself an assistant, and I wanted my assistant to also be my TC. I only wanted one person in those files, so I wouldn't have this problem, right? CEO thinking like I just wanted one person. So I'm able to pay a little bit less hourly for a local American to be in my stuff. But at the same time, I bonus them a bigger bonus on everything that closes for a couple reasons. Why? Because we're commission salespeople. We're motivated on the money, right? So if you bonus your assistant / TC, they will work for you on holidays and weekends because they want that bonus. We can't say commission, so it's a bonus, and it'll keep you out of hot water. And then they'll go above and beyond. And I take good care of them. I give them extra bonuses at the holidays or whatever, birthday holidays and days off and whatever. But if you take care of that person, if you don't want to go through the ISA route, then find yourself someone that you can pay $15 or $20 an hour locally that has either real estate background but doesn't want to sell real estate anymore, or wants to be a realtor and doesn't know how to go about it. They'll get great training from you. And a lot of them will stay with you. I usually burn them out after about 3 years, and I have to go find the next one, but that's okay. So have yourself, as Matt said, either ISA, and in my case, I don't want the ISA. I want a local person in case I need them to help me somewhere local too, right? Broker opens, setting up, things of that sort. So that is really, really important. And then finally, partner with some local realtors and become good friends with them that are like-minded and like your personality. So if you have to go on vacation, you don't have to give away half your commission to get someone to open the door. Mitch has a thing where he's paying someone per door, but sometimes you might want someone, you might say, hey, if you're a single mom or a single dad and you find another one like that, hey, let's look out for each other. We have to pick up kids or something. I'll cover for you, you cover for me kind of thing. And that way you don't have to have a team, but you have a teammate, right? So that's also a really good way of expanding your business without having to hire someone. And you can do that all day long. I mean, you could be on vacation or you might have a doctor's appointment or whatever. It's a really good idea to have somebody, if you're not on a team, so that you can call, or a couple people, because they may be on vacation when you're on vacation, right? So you want to have a few people that you all like each other and have decided we're not going to take money from each other. Let's just, and it'll all wash out later. So those are some really good tips. And then back to the marketing piece and AI. You should be using AI to write your marketing, or you have your assistant do it. You tell them what you want, and it'll save you a lot of money. And if you don't have money up front for the assistant part of it, hire the TC and then start working with them. And if they're a local TC, they may end up deciding. My current one, she had was looking just for TC work, and I called her up and I said, I'm looking for a TC, but I'm also looking for a new assistant because I had been working till 3:30 in the morning while I was waiting to get all my paperwork done because my last assistant had left me and because she burned out. And so for that reason, if you're a beginner realtor, then get the TC. If you're advanced and you have money in the bank, hire an assistant who's also your TC, or go with the ISA route, one or the other. But that will definitely keep you from having to do all your paperwork and catch up on everything if you're on the road all day like I am most days. Then when you get caught up, when everybody goes to bed, right? When your phone stops ringing. So get some sleep, hire an assistant, hire a TSA, and make friends with everybody that's out there in other people's homes.
Cool.
And
All
create yourself
And just
a
so you
team.
know, one of the things that's coming is which will be part of our package pretty soon with EXP, is you'll be able to AI will write all your contracts for you.
Great. I love it.
You want to write contracts anymore, yeah.
I
That's
don't
awesome
know.
stuff.
That sounds like a liability to me. I guess
gotta
we
tell
have
you,
to
Karina,
check 'em, but
Yeah, Green, you're like the only
Um,
person that talks faster than me. What's up with that?
I'm Jersey. You're
uh,
Boston. You have
I
to
know,
park
right?
your car. Well, we just go freaking park the car.
Yeah, we still park guys. Park my car, you
I know
Santana.
you do.
Yeah. Bridget, you're up, girl.
You know what? Okay, I want to say about AI, I would love to pull this up. So I was writing a description. It did a beautiful job for me on a new condo I have for sale. And then it said, hey, you want me to make you a social media post? And I said, sure. So it said, great, upload the photos and your, stuff. So I upload my EXP, luxury logo, my photo, my branding. And I don't know if I could do a screen share here. It gave me great flyers and I have my photo, and it used my hair, my complete outfit, and somebody else's face every time my daughter and I were on the ground. I'm like, oh, but that's not me. So I'm telling AI, and it is hysterical. It's like almost me, but not. It's kind of creepy. So I'm like, no, 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 here's my actual photo. Use the actual photo. Okay. So it gave me several different renditions of not me. And anyway, so it's not perfect. So that's why I'm like, it's writing our contracts now. So it's really weird. It should be able to grab my photo, right? And maybe this is just Chat GPT Premium, but maybe I'm sure there's probably like a social media specific AI that would grab actually my face. It just put a different face on me every time. So I had a lot of laughs, but be careful because the flyer looked great, all but that. And then I noticed that wasn't me. Okay,
And
so
just Jay, Bridget, just with that real quick, I
yeah.
believe Canva now, because Canva is using AI in Canva, the one that we have for the XP. I believe you can do that now in Canva and build that whole thing just like I said, but it uses all your stuff. Come out and
Yeah,
take a look at that.
I've logged in a few times and I would like for us as panelists to go through the Canva options because I'm in there, I see it, and so I'll play with that too. I don't typically do my social media and posts, but it offered and I wanted to see what it would do. So anyway, that's my story, but I will have my social person that does my marketing play with that as well because I don't have time for it, but let's see if it puts my actual face. So I'm gonna just as a solo agent who really likes to have control of a lot of things. I don't want to use showing time because I want to touch each person. But when you get to a certain level, you do need, someone helping you with these tasks. The first thing we went through a lot of it. I agree with what Matt said. Sometimes there's nothing new under the sun. You have to have someone helping your social media. I have a VA, and Matt and Diane are using the same VA that I got through another EXP agent, and he's wonderful. He'll do my email blasts. And it just makes, he's just so fast and easy and very affordable. And you get a draft and then you can approve it. And it's so minimal on cost because you do need to have those things. And you just go with him and like, hey, I want to post, I want an email blast every week. And he just gets it done, right? Just go through, plan in advance. So it doesn't have to be expensive is my point. Like back in the day, Matt's talking about the fact that he had full staff, not people on salary. Everybody should be, if you don't want someone sitting in your desk, and there are agents that want someone actually in their office in a desk, just there full time, not even floor time, but they just want to know they're in the office. But if you're not at that level, piecemeal it. It's affordable. There are people, looking for that. So, do your social TC. You should have, I recommend a licensed TC because if they're licensed, and this is what Redfin's doing, all of their TCs are licensed. The agents don't even, they're good agents. I'm doing a couple deals with a couple really good Redfin agents, but they're not doing anything. Like, maybe outside of looking at their request for repairs, but that TC is able to write a contract and they can just look it over, do a counter offer. They can do it all because they're licensed. So I've never TC'd my own loan. I've never logged into SkySlope, and it is my life's goal to never have to log into SkySlope. I don't want to do it. Like, it's against my religion, but I have a good TC that takes care of that for me. And I want to talk, I'm at the point with an inside sales associate where I do want to get one because I just have too many things to accomplish and I don't have the time today. So I want to try it. But I love what you said, Karina, because I'm just this morning before our meeting, someone had emailed me about their program and I said, yeah, I want to talk. Let's investigate this. But I love what you said in regards to making your TC your assistant and seeing if they have the, the gumption to do the calls, because it does take a certain person who will do that. And I think I'm going to talk to the other company and a few companies, but I'm going to go that route for me personally, because I would love to have somebody that understands my whole bucket, right? We're doing this deal. And then also leveraging, I think we talked about this last week, instead of, having to, oh, do I have the budget to pay a salary or this and that? Because many agents do not. It's tough. This is a tough market. I've 3 listings and barely, any showings right now. The right houses go fast and others are sitting there, but leverage what you have. Get the people involved in getting a bonus when the deal closes. Like that is, we've talked about that in the past, but that's the route I'm specifically going to pursue right now, is the TC that can write the offers so that I can be on the road, because I just love being on the road and going and talking and making deals, right? And making magic. And then paying them a small commission when it closes to keep them vested in getting the listing and closing the deal. So I absolutely loved that. And I think that's it. We're just I'm doubling down on what people have said and how it spoke to me. These are the little pieces that we can do so we can keep growing and thinking and expanding, and doing Matt knows it, it's all about the income generating tasks, right? That's what we do need to be doing. And so you just got to get the little pieces in there. And I think that's it, but Mitch, I'd love to look at all of our AI tools and really drill down on that, because that goes exactly with scaling our business. And then in Canva as well. I just think it's, we're on a new frontier, and I think everyone would really benefit of really kind of having a dog and pony show on each of them.
Yeah, I'm bringing in. I met with Phil Stringer. Phil is probably the best real estate AI guy that I've ever met. He spoke at our rally in Florida, and I met with him afterwards, and he's willing to come on and do a class for us. He's got 10 tools for AI that are, Randy, you saw him too, right? He was it was off the charts. I mean, the stuff that you can do with the different AI platforms that he's using is, and they're cheap. Like one's $10 a month, one's $20 a month. There was nothing expensive. But I'm going to work on that for next week. It might be 2 weeks, just pulling everything together in a week's stuff for me. But because I actually do work. I know some people think I don't work, but I do. Let's go over to Ross. Okay, Karina, go ahead.
Real quick to Bridget's comment. So I don't have my TC assistant actually making sales calls for me. I have her helping me run the business. So she might go into KV Core, SkySlope, all that stuff. But I have someone else then that would be making those calls separately. It's just because I want her not to get sidetracked and then the documents not get done. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right. We do have to
or like my mentee,
of the transaction.
You'll help my mentees. So many of us are mentors, right? With EXP, and I can't help everybody all the time. So I can send it to my TC assistant, who also has a real estate license. Right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thanks for the clarification.
All right. There you go. All right, Ross, you're up, man.
Cool. What's up, guys? Good tidbits, and thanks for all this operational advice. It's pretty fantastic the way you guys have done it. What I'm hearing and the way that I see it going is the age of the individual agent is dead. You are now a micro team. You have to have support. You cannot scale as an individual agent. And let me just go over a few reasons why, and then I'll get into how you can grow your business. But I remember when I first got in the business, probably my second year in, I was averaging about 15 transactions open at a time with no TC, with a beat up 10-year-old Infinity that my dad gave me because it was about to fall apart. And and with 15 open escrows, because of how little property values were, it was you're still kind of scraping. So all that to say is that was my ceiling. I could not do any more than that. And did I have opportunity? Absolutely. But I could only be one person, one place at one time doing one activity. Even if you're the best multitasker, whatever's in front of you is the singular activity you're doing. And if you're trying to do three at once by multitasking, you're going to fail because you won't be efficient. Things are going to slip through the cracks, and your work will not be proficient. So the individual agent, that is like the myth now, because all I'm hearing is everyone needs support. And what's out there? Support. And how do you grow and scale that? First of all, we're all talking about AI. Everything is moving digital. I love it. It's fantastic. The one thing I want to warn against now is the individual agent who relies only on relationships, which I think is a fantastic business. That business is going to die. The next up and coming wave of people were COVID kids who only interacted over the internet. They're terrified to talk to people face to face. I'm kidding. I'm over exaggerating. But everyone is going to be operating on the internet. Over 70% of people find their realtor on the internet. How are you going to do that? Numbers only going to go up. It's not going to go down. People are going to ask ChatGPT, who's the best agent to talk to. What do you have to have? You have to have a great website. You have to have great social media. I suck at those things. I have to get better. Thankfully, it's not today, and it's not kicking my butt in business right now, but we're going this way where your calling card has to be digital. I don't know if people are going to open their mail anymore in the future. Your mailers have to be digital. These are things that I'm seeing coming down in the future pike. And if you're an individual agent doing these affordable activities, they're going to be even more affordable because AI is going to do it for free. You just need to get that locked in today so you're not falling behind. Like everyone's saying, if you're not getting digital, if you're not using AI, you're falling behind the times. So as a micro team now, because you're not an individual agent, if you're wanting to meet people over the internet, if you want to even like step out and buy leads, you can't. You have to have a team now. What I'm learning in my journey is, like, if I were to go to Zillow today and say, hey, I want to buy leads, like, how many agents you got? Like, it's just me. Cool. Click. They're not going to talk to you. They are moving away from the individual model because they need immediate service. If you talk to realtor.com, they're changing their whole business model. They're moving to Opcity, Market VIP, and the newest product that's out in San Diego that I've grabbed 100% of the market of is only for teams. You have to have people that can answer the phone. You have to have an ISA team. You have to have all of these scalable positions in place so that you can even get your foot in the door. So you can do all that as an individual agent. You're still the front man, and market yourself as the individual agent. Get those individual accolades. Do all that for you, but you have to have the ISA, you have to have the TC, you have to have the showing agents, you have to have buyer agent, you have to have the listing coordinating team if you want to scale. If you're not going to employ these positions, and I shouldn't say employ, if you're not going to have these positions available for your clients, your glass ceiling is just getting shoved down on you because the next wave of agents that's coming up is going to have all these in place. So how can you scale? How do you not have this huge overhead? Because I mentioned like 5 positions you need to scale. I have 0 employees to run I have a pretty good team, and we have a lot of action going on. We're averaging like 25 transactions a month right now as our little team. And that's a lot for me to navigate, right? I couldn't do that on my own. So I have a operations manager. She's fantastic. I have a full-time coach and a sales manager. Fantastic. We have 2 TCs. We have an inside sales agent. All of them get paid out on splits. So I don't write a single check. If we produce, we produce. It's on my team and my staff to get paid. The better job they do, the more they get paid. The better job I do, the more we all get paid. And why do I like that model? Because I don't want to be paying $5 to $7 an hour, even though it's super cheap for someone to be playing like their farming game sitting next to me on the desk because they are not motivated to work because they're going to get $35 today so they can go out and go to Dave & Buster's. That's not my ideal situation. I want people to be low leveraged on my end, so I'm not having to worry about my family and how I'm going to pay my bills and do all that. Obviously, I'm going to model each offering to be sustainable and to be productive. But when we talk about really getting the most out of people, they need to have skin in the game in this business. This is a commission game. I'm not getting paid unless we close a deal. I don't even care if we get to the inch yard line and the deal falls apart. Nobody gets paid. And people just did hours and hours and hours of work that I'm paying that I'm not getting paid on. So why do I need to go broke? And this is you guys, I'm talking to everyone. Why do I need to go broke to lift somebody else up? We all need to rise together. This is a new age of real estate where accessibility to resources getting more limited while it's getting more vast at the same time. What I mean by the limits are what you're capable of doing by yourself. And there's too much out there for you to cover. So the best advice I got was staff up, get positions in place, figure out how you're going to position yourself to the market. I figured out that I like to encourage and coach and help people grow their business instead of selling now. So that's what I do. If you want to continue to sell and you're a rock star at selling like all you guys on here, then continue to do that and then support yourself with the staff and be that individual agent, get those accolades, get all that for yourself. But like Cam said, that's where you're going to find the turnover because everyone's going to want to make a name for themselves. In the team model, you can allow people to grow themselves and then, you can help them build a team. There's other ways to do it because you already have the infrastructure to do it. It's an easier path. But that is my 2 cents on how to grow as an individual agent. Pick your path on how you want to do it. But essentially, if you're doing it alone, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're only one person and there's too much to do now. It used to be, you could do it because times were slower. You're faxing offers, you're doing all this stuff. I remember when I first started, we had to fax our offers in. Like, what the heck is that? That it's a different world now. And you can't afford, unfortunately, as much as I want to tell you you can relax and spend less time in the day, it's lightning fast. And if you're not giving that immediate service in one form or another, you're going to get bulldozed and set to the side. So there you go.
Awesome. Love it. And you and I have a lot of similar stuff. When I talk, you're going to go, oh, yeah, that sounds like me. Except you have better hair than I do. Although I have better hair on my back than you do.
Debatable.
Yeah, too. Right. I don't know. I saw you with your shirt up the other day. And no, I'm kidding. Randy, what's up, Randy?
Hey, what's up? It's actually perfect timing because a couple of things I do is on all my personal transactions, because I actually now live in Tampa, but I do my business in San Diego. So when 2 weeks ago, I got 2 listing opportunities from my sphere. And I just always bring in an agent that I've trained. She was my marketing director when I owned the brokerage. Then I trained her to be a realtor, and now she's better than me. So I just do everything with her 50-50 because I'm not there. So I can't even go look at the house. But the clients call me because I have a relationship with them with the sphere that I built through the investor community. So these are both residential homes that we're selling that they live in, and they are, one is moving away to Phoenix. The other one is just turning their property into, moving into a different house. But long story short, both need a little bit of updating. So this is another reason they want to come to me because I have contractors for them and so forth and so on. So now those things are getting repaired. But that's how I do it. I just do everything 50-50. I know it's a lot that I give up, but at the same time, my team member hasn't left me in 5 years. If I gave her less, she probably would be looking for more, right? So you got to decide, right, how you want to handle that. But I rather have a little bit more peace and not be scrambling and looking for the next team member, just because maybe I decided to give her 30% instead of 50, right? So that's how it's been working out for me very well ever since I decided to, I started that before I moved strategically, and then I moved and we just continued in that pattern. Now I also have VAs. I have 2 virtual assistants out of Colombia. I've tested both Philippines and Colombia. I like Colombia because they are on our time zones. So it's a lot easier for meetings, communication. Actually, wait, hold on. I have 2 in Colombia. 1 is still in the Philippines, but I don't have to talk to her much. She just does all my video editing. But the ones in Colombia, great English. I find them to actually have better English than the ones in the Philippines, and they are a lot more social, I guess. I think too. I feel like so. And I pay them. I start them at $4 an hour, and then get them to $5, and that's kind of where we settle in at $5 an hour. So that's been really, really helpful, is to outsource, and it's not full time. They are all part-time workers. They put about maybe 5 to 10 hours a week for me max. So my overhead isn't terrible, but yet they get a lot done for what I would have to pay probably $20 an hour in the States, if not 25. So that's another thing. And if you ask how do I find them, I actually found them through a friend who met a girl from Colombia. And I asked my friend, hey, ask your girlfriend if she's got friends. And that's kind of how it started. And once you get one, then they refer others to you because they know they have a network of Colombian friends. And that's kind of how it started. And then interesting about AI. So, like I said, I usually partner with Jessica on everything, but right now I have a flip in San Diego that I partner on to a joint venture, and I'm going to be the lead agent. So I'm going to be listing this property, and I'm not involving Jessica in it. And it's funny because I haven't uploaded things to the MLS in years, like a listing. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how do I even do this? So I had to send it to her for review. Like, hey, can you just review this if I did this right? But I do want to show you something. How I leveraged, quickly AI as we speak. I in the community. You guys see my screen with ChatGPT?
Yep.
Okay. I liked, I looked at all the competition, current and previous, right? And I like this one description because I haven't written a description in probably 10 years. Well, this one description really stood out and I really liked it. So I copied the description from another agent. I put it in here into ChatGPT right here. And then I started playing around with, let's see, here's the revised version. And then I started just playing around. So they wrote the description. I was like, oh, wait, this is way too close to what that is. Rewrite it even more and change things around so it doesn't sound like the one previously provided, right? So this was kind of word for word almost from the one that I got off the MLS. And I asked ChatGPT to rewrite it by just this simple prompt. And absolutely, here's a fresh rewrite with a new flow and phrasing. So it rewrote it for me, right? So now it doesn't look exactly like the other one. And I'm like, great, add that has 2 balconies because I just realized, oh, wow, I have 2 balconies. That's right. I need to add that. Boom. Certainly, here is the revised version, and it adds the 2 private balconies invite you to relax outdoors. And so, boom, thank you. Moving on. And I'm like, wait, hold on a second. I just checked with my investors, partners. I'm like, wait, do we have granite or quartz countertops? And they said quartz, and I had granite in here. I'm like, great, replace granite with quartz countertops, please. All right, so ChatGPT just rewrites it and just puts sleek quartz countertops instead of what was the other, just granite countertops. This saved me, I don't know, an hour minimum of trying to write all this on my own. And then I keep changing my mind over and over as I look and find more things in the photo. So this is real time. This literally I'm working on as we speak. And then I logged into Canva. I always get, I stage the property, I get professional photos, but the professional photos we got, they were great, but this, for example, we got this is the professional photo that we received back, and we wanted twilight photos, and I paid extra for twilight. Well, that's what the sky, I guess, looked like. So I guess they didn't do any editing. Well, then you could literally go to Canva and then upload your photo. If you just go to photo editor, it's new in Canva. So I uploaded the photo, and then you can go to BG generator here. And I could just say, sunset, generate. Let's just see what happens. So now I'm taking professional photos and I'm making them even better myself, right? Before I'll have to go back and tell the photographer hey, can you please edit this maybe if you can with the sky and, Adobe or whatever you guys use and give me a sunset. Now I don't have to do that. I could just go to Canva And then I can be like, here, all right, which ones do I like? Right? Like, okay, I like this one. Done. Now I have a sunset photo. And I'm like, oh, so this is the same photo, but from a balcony, right? I'm like, well, I need this to match as well, the other one. So then I'm gonna do the same thing, please, sunset. So now I'm gonna just have two photos that are gonna match my other one. And then you could say, add more gray or add more pink or whatever. And then here we go. So now I just, within seconds, created two beautiful sunset photos. Instead, so I'm not going to use these gray looking ones. I'm going to use these two now, right? And load them up. And I did already. And then this one, they gave me this photo as well. This is from the professional photographer. I'm like, I can't use this. Like, again, I would go back to them, ask them to edit it, and they would do it, but it would take a day. I'm like, well, let me just see what I can do. And I did it myself, and here's my final piece. I even removed the tree out of here because Canva wasn't like perfect yet. So the tree was messing it up. It's loading, so it looks blurry. There you go. So I removed the tree with Canva and then just added the sunset myself, and that's it. I'm not going back to the photographer to change that either, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That's great. Love it.
As I'm doing
Love it.
as we speak. You
Can I
got
say
to
one
get
thing about the
So we got our Canva training.
yeah, can
There
I
you
say
go.
one thing about that, Randy? Because that is super cool. I actually just sold a home on Saturday that they did that, and the AI made a window appear on a wall, and my buyers were like, we didn't see this window. Where is this window? And I guess the agent didn't notice or the editor didn't notice. And there's a whole window in the MLS photo that's double the size of the little small window that's there. So again, you guys, just be careful because that is super cool. But we just went through this, and my buyers, they accepted it, but they were kind of like, what happened there? Was there a window there before and they fixed it? And then, it started making all these weird stories in their heads when it was like, it's just a Photoshop, you guys. I know that. I can see that. But
Yeah, no,
anyways, that's super cool.
I'm glad you added that because the truth is, I first confirmed that there actually is, that's where the sun sets on that side of the building. Okay, so that's number one. If that doesn't happen, don't add a sunset like I just did. But you could still add color. You can add like, a little bit of a yellow tone and blue to the sky, but just don't call it a sunset, right? Because that is misleading. So this is where you got to be really careful, like Cameron is saying, because you can shoot yourself in the foot if you go up, the people move in, they're like, wait a minute, the sun doesn't even set here. And you guys had photos telling me that it sets here. Sorry, that was AI. That's not going to fly.
All right, let's go. We got Brian and Brian. All right, but before you stop, Brian. So Matt, I have a great idea. I think me and you need to put a picture of each of ourselves in Canva, and next we can come on with a full head of hair. Kind of fun. All right, Brian, go ahead, bud.
I'll be quick. Being a solo agent, and it's kind of the topic, and how to scale. I would definitely encourage, if you are a single agent, to scale before you have the business, because the hardest thing to do is scale in the middle of a bunch of business. Like we heard Ross talking about that a little bit, right? And so when you're brand new, even if you're brand new and you don't even haven't closed 5 transactions or 1 transaction, you want to build a team that you begin to leverage in your conversations, so you do begin to stand out as an expert even when you don't feel like one. So if you just constantly say, I have a team or I'm part of a team, what you'd want to do, and Randy and I did this. So Randy, when he started out the brokerage, one thing he did really cool was he constantly went to colleges in our area and he gave talks on real estate. And then after he gave talks on these real estate conversations, he would get approached by these intern type college kids looking for jobs and could they come? Well, he would hire them and they would come into our office and work for free because they wanted to be in the environment of whatever their major was in college. So we had free people that as I forget who it was that was speaking when I first came on. I was a little late, but basically the next generation, I think it was Ross talking about that too. The next generation is going to come in, and in 5 minutes, they're going to teach me Canva that I'm scared to death to even start to learn how to type in the word Canva, because I'm a different generation, right? 66% of the real estate market are baby boomers. Over 50% of the transactions include a baby boomer, meaning the generation that's buying needs support from my generation. I'm 63 years old. I don't need to learn anything new. What I want to do is take what I do know and leverage it really well, and then bring in these systems and these people to run them for me. So like Randy was saying with Columbia, right? I'm looking for somebody who will do exactly what he showed us, that exercise with the pictures. The person who wants to jump into and learn KV Core or the next gen of what we're using on the technology side. I like partnering. My first team consisted of a TC when they became a product. There was not TCs when I joined, and like Ross, we're faxing offers. When I faxed an offer, I had to make sure that the other person receiving it had paper in their fax machine. Like you could fax sometimes and they'd be like, oh man, the thing ran out. And if you worked in an office and all of a sudden you're putting in a whole ream of paper and half of it's not even what you were waiting for. I mean, those were when we were the assistant to our assistant and we were the assistant to our business. So I don't want to do anything that I don't have to do. So when I scale, what I like to talk about scaling is if we're the rainmaker. I began when my daughters were young. I missed a lot of soccer games and a lot of things that I regret missing because I was my own TC. I was my own agent. I was my own assistant. I was me. I was the business. I was the CEO, like Karina said. And what I learned is how to understand really how Brian could sleep really good at night and scale me in such a way that I didn't have to be responsible for a lot of commissions that were being dispersed out into. I had one good buyer's agent. I was averaging $12 to $15 million a year by myself, closing back in the mid 2000s, and I was making $200,000 or $300,000. I was very happy, and it was my TC. I was paying. My assistant was licensed. She would take the buyer leads. I had a split with her, and I had one assistant. And I trained my assistant to be me. In other words, she was in an office where she actually live answered the calls. So when the calls came in, she would say, hi, this is Sarah at Briley Properties. Thank you for calling. How may I help you? If it was one of my sellers or one of my buyers, I would train my buyers and my sellers to not ever ask for me, to always ask for Sarah, because Sarah would have their folder. And if she was in my office as a full-time agent, her home now could be her office as long as she live answers my phone. I got your file right here. What's up with it? It was so good that when people would actually call the office and I would be in the real office and I would grab the phone and I would answer my own phone. I go, Briley Properties, Brian, how can I help you? It would be my clients that go, hey, Brian, is Sarah there? And like, they wouldn't even want to talk to me. They just want to talk to Sarah because they knew Sarah had her file. That's the kind of scaling I liked. And I was very productive. And the cool thing is that today, all the buckets and all the systems and everything that we're talking about for lead generation, when you squeeze page everything down to the real nuts and bolts of somebody's going to need to have some trust with somebody, right? Somebody's got to open the door and meet them and trust. There's got to be some trust. And when you can scale that trust to interact in a physical being, and if it's you or your licenses, if somebody puts the handshake in the deal, the rest of the deal can go into AI. But if you don't have a handshake, you don't have some trust in person, then it's really hard to hand somebody off to a system that they've never met anybody. Because I've had like 1 or 2 deals through long distance buyers. They actually pulled the trigger and closed on a deal that they never saw. But the day we did the walkthrough, I was there to meet them to make sure that I was real and not some fake me, like we just heard that Bridget said was like, oh, it looked like me, but it wasn't me. I wanted to be me. I got to have a handshake because that's the only way I'm going to get a referral. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, good stuff. I'm going to wrap this up with I literally have 8 pages of notes here to talk about and I'm going to do that in 3 minutes. All right. So first of all, you have to decide: are you running a business or are you owning a crappy job? So if you know me, I talk about that a lot in a lot of stuff I do. I got like Karina, I got in this, and I didn't come in this to build a job. I came in this to build a business. And from day one, I was running a business. The mistake I made is I didn't understand my dollar value of time from the minute I started, and I should have. So I didn't get an assistant or a TC till after I had sold 80 homes. I recommend if you've sold 5 homes and you know the process, you should never do it. You should never ever do contract close ever again. Right? This is running a business is all about leverage. Everybody that I hire to do, don't get wrong, we have Vess who's actually on the call, who's our TC, not our marketing person in the Philippines, does an amazing job. My original assistant was a very small hourly license and then 10% commission. Right? Even right now, like I don't do anything. I like make bad jokes all day long. And then Pat takes over from there, and we split our deals 50-50 when we do deals. You need a marketing person, you need an assistant, you need an ISA. Those are mandatory to grow your business. However, hi kitty cat. I'm going to assume that most of you cannot afford that. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. What I love, and we have we have 4 agents doing that right now. We have 4 agents splitting a person. Right, so they split an assistant, they split an ISA, and they split a TC. TC, you're going to pay. I mean, a marketing person. TC, you're going to pay per transaction anyways. But you can do the same thing with this person. But one person can literally handle 4 individual agents per at a time, because you only really need most of these people 10 hours a week for the majority of individual agents. And if you get to bigger operation, you need more. But generally, that you should only be doing revenue generating activities. Like that's all you should be doing. You should not be doing any type of administrative work. When I was running my real estate business, when I was selling 80 homes a year, I said, all right, what's my value of time? At the time, it was $250 an hour. Now it's $1,500, but back then it was $250 an hour. And I said, well, if I'm doing $250 an hour and I'm inputting a listing, that's at the time an $8 or $10 an hour job. It's a $15 an hour job. You should not be doing 15 or 20 hours a job. So what I recommend that you all do is make a list of, keep track of your time for every minute of every day for a week. And you'll be blown away on how much time you spend doing jobs that you should not be doing as the CEO of your company. Right. And finally, and I just did this, by the way, and I couldn't copy it for some reason, paste it into here, but you can go to ChatGPT and I'll tell you what the prompt I use and say, I need to create a support team to help me with the real estate business. I have very little money. How can I grow a support staff paying people by commission? If you put that prompt in, and I'll give you the prompt, it will give you a whole plan on exactly how to run your business. Crazy stuff. This stuff's so amazing. So again, I've been using AI. I don't even have I got rid of my doctors. I'm using AI for my doctors right now. I call it Dr. Chat. But that's what I just put into chat, and it gave me a whole list of how to pay everybody, what to pay them, and everything. So you can do this. The only other thing is not the TC as much, but I like everybody licensed, because I like everybody independent contractors. And the one thing you got to be afraid of, if you're paying a commission amount, if you're paying a flat fee, it's no problem. It's legal. If you're paying a commission amount, you're violating the labor laws, right? The real estate laws, rather. You cannot pay an unlicensed person commissions. I'm going to leave it at that because it's one-on-one. I could talk about this for an hour, but have a good week. I put a call into Phil Ray text and to see if we can get him on for AI next week. So I'm going to work on that. See you guys.